2, 1, action.
What's going on, Pack? We are here for another episode of the Ask the Pack Leader Show. Today, we're actually going to be doing a new version of the show that me and Adam have been thinking about doing. And what we want to be able to do is, I'll explain why I have this thing in my ear that's pulling out of my ear. What we want to be able to do is bring on our pack. So obviously the people who... Both packs. So we have our pack, that's the pack on social media. Then I have my pack of my trainers and the people I know, my colleagues in the dog industry. And then we have obviously the extended pack, which is the whole world. And we want to be able to bring on some other professionals that are in this dog industry, people that I've worked with, that I trust, that I know. And then also bring on some people who have the questions. So you guys saw we asked the questions of, giving it. I want to be able to answer basically anything on here, whether it's something about life question, because you guys all know that I've been through a bunch of shit in my life, so I can help you with that stuff. If it's starting a business, if it's getting involved with dogs, questions about your dog, working with people, working with puppies, rehab, whatever it is. I mean, investments. I'm doing a lot of that shit right now. So investing, building a property, plenty of stuff to talk about. But so yeah, that's going to be how we're going to do it moving forward. I'm going to try to do my best to always have one of the dog professionals on. Sometimes we may not, but today we have my good friend Jojo, who works out in California. And now we don't even know where you're actually going to be working, because now you're on the road, right?
Yep.
So everybody, this is Joanna Stanford. And why don't you just do a little intro on yourself before I do it and screw it up? Because
Can you
I
actually
probably
say
will.
who else is with us too?
Oh, yes. And let me also say that also is with us is Dallas. He's from Nashville, Tennessee, and he's going to be our question asker today, and we're going to talk with him, and he's going to get some feedback from both myself and Jojo on whatever he's going to ask us today. So hopefully it's something good, bro. All right, so Jojo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I'll just say really quick how we met. I met Jojo in 2014, correct?
2013,
December of 2013. Yeah. So I had taken the first workshop that Cesar did on his own. And I think Jojo took like the second, which was like the next one. And she was the class after me, but I had taken it in April and she had taken it in December. So it was literally she was at the first workshop that I ever volunteered at as a student. So I took the course, volunteered at my first one, and Jojo was there with her dog Wando, that was a fun time having him there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was.
It's just another one. Jojo was through, had a dog that gave her some issues and had some things with, and that's how pretty much all of us got into this thing. Was I had Maddie, she had Wanda, we had all these different issues with our dogs, and we got us to learn about dogs, and here we are working with dogs. So Jojo, why don't you tell us what you're up to now, what you've been doing, and all the good stuff.
Right on. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Of course. By the way, first ever trainer. Jojo's the first ever trainer on the podcast.
And we're live on Instagram. So
we're live on Instagram, so everyone's seeing that you are the first one. So wait, hold on. Right. What's the Instagram so if people know who you are? Joe and Jax?
Joe and Jax, and there's an underscore in between. So it's Joe A-N-D Jax with 2 X's.
So it's Joe underscore. Oh, no, is it right? Right? Joe underscore
Joe
and underscore Jax. So check her out. She's touring the country right now, and she can come to your place to help you with your dogs if you want to do anything inside your home and your location. She's touring the country right now, helping people with their dogs. She's a seasoned pack walker and seasoned trainer. So I recommend, if you guys are interested in that, to see if she's on the route, if you guys are going to be able to work with her. All right.
Yeah.
Tell us the deal. Let's go.
Well, as you know, we both started out as pack walkers. I started my business, Trots Dog Walking, in 2009, and it kept growing because people were like, "How are you doing that?" And I started doing training, and it's very similar to your story.
Yep.
And so I grew the business, and I was trying to open a facility. I couldn't find a building, so I bought a house, and then I was working out of the house, and then pandemic struck, and then all the dogs were gone. And I was like, well, this feels lovely, not having so many dogs in my house all the time. And so I made the decision to sell the house, sell the business to my staff. I had a really great staff in that moment where I had just a really great group of amazing people, and they still wanted to walk the dogs, and they love all those guys, and they just wanted to keep doing it. So I let them do it.
Awesome.
So I sold it all and bought an RV, and now I am traveling around the country and helping people with their dogs around the country. And I'm specifically focusing on other dog businesses, other people with pack walking businesses, other people with training facilities, daycares, that kind of stuff.
That's great.
So I just finished up working with the Royal Canine in Yorba Linda with our friend Melina.
Yes.
And I was working with her staff, and I'm going to be working with my Love for Paws in Austin, Texas in the next couple weeks. Awesome. And then I'll be with Art at Dogfit Dallas in Dallas, Texas, and going on through there. So I'm making my way across the country. And I've been here at home in Long Beach in front of my parents' house for the last couple of months because we had a bunch of workshops and the holidays and stuff. So tomorrow morning, taking off, we're going for the long haul
on the road. Yeah, so we had we had 3 workshops like back to back to back with after coronavirus. Caesar was like, we got to get this thing going because it was 2 years off. So he was like, let's book one in September, let's book one in October, let's book one. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're basically just moving to California for the end of the year. I got it. So but yeah, we were rapid fire. So obviously you've been waiting with that and the holidays, New Year's. So you're going to be on the road. So what's the route going to go? You're going to go down like the south first?
Yes.
And then come
I'm
up
not
the
looking
east?
to be in any snow. So I'm taking the most southern route possible and then get to Florida. And then Todd, as you know, who works with us at Cesars, he's in Orlando. And so I'm going to hang out there, hopefully in time for the Mark's workshop, and we'll fly back because I can keep all my stuff at his place. And then come back. And then when it warms up, I'm going to head up the East Coast and I'll come see you guys.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Don't come now because right now we're in single digits right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's normally, January we get 30s or whatever it is, but today is just brutally cold and we got a little bit of snow and stuff. It's like I woke up, it was 7 outside. So the Marty and Dawson it's the first time they ever experienced 7 degrees. They're like, what the fuck is this that just slapped me in the face as the door opened, But they got used to it. But awesome. All right. So why don't we bring on Dallas, who is okay. So let me talk about this. So this was such a last minute thing. So Jojo, by the way, I appreciate you coming on last minute. This is amazing.
Seriously. Thank you,
and
Jojo.
Super last minute. Literally, we were sitting up here last night at like 7 or 8 o'clock or some shit, trying to figure out like, what should we do to change it up? And we're like, let's get people on. And we did a scrambled thing. So Dallas was able to make it for the show. And then on top of it, he put his question in and everything. And on top of it, was able to adapt and switch the times because I got something I got to do with the Gary V guy at noon. So we made it work out. So it's awesome. So Dallas, welcome to the Ask the Pack Leader Show. You are the first ever in the history of the show guest that's going to be asking some questions on here. So we'll always remember this one. First one ever. And by the way, speaking of Gary V, we're going to make an NFT about this one eventually.
Nice.
And then Dallas will get a piece of it.
Heck yeah.
You'll remember this shit.
Yes.
Awesome, man. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. I followed you and Caesar for, probably since I was 10 years old. So going on about 13 years of just watching you guys and just create greatness. And so, tell you a little bit about myself. I come from kind of a little bit of a broken home. I was raised by a lot of frustration. And that being said, it kind of followed me through my adulthood, and anything that I dealt with, it was with frustration. Yeah. And so I'm a dog person. So of course I had to have a dog. I got a dog. It's a Rottweiler, Doberman, Great Pyrenees, German Shepherd mix. All the power breeds in one. And I raised him with frustration, and I'm not shy to say that. And so now he is about 2-3 years old. And when he was that age, he bit 4 people before I really decided, wow, I need to make a change, whether it's me or this dog. And at the time, I didn't realize that a lot of it was more me than it was him. And so it really gave me a lot of self-reflection, and I had to kind of discipline myself, because anytime I would deal with him with frustration, he would cower, he would get scared, and I didn't realize what was happening. And in turn, I would get more angry rather than trying to just deal with the situation in a better way. And so, through this time, following you guys, I think the biggest question that I have is, what good rituals can you set for yourself to wake up every day and be, whether a good leader for your dog, for your family, and what can you do to kind of rekindle a broken relationship?
I love it. So number one, I can relate to you very well, because that's how I raised Maddie in the beginning, was with frustration. So it's the same thing. You said you came from broken home and stuff. I think that we all come from broken homes, right? It's just because society has been going this way for a very long time, and we've been sending frustration, anxiety, fear, anger, depression, all this stuff through parents all the way along. So again, in my opinion, this is again my opinion, not your parents' fault, because they learned it from somewhere, right? So I think a lot of people have resentment towards parents, and they aren't aware of it. So what I'm saying, I'm getting into this whole thing on debating whether or not there even is a subconscious and conscious kind of thing. We'll go into that in another episode because I'll just talk for forever about it. But yeah, for me, it's one to understand that it's not you who chose to be frustrated. You were taught that in childhood. Just like a puppy has his imprint period from 0 to 8 months, we have it from 0 to 7 years. So 7 years we're watching, right? So my brother asked me, he's like, well, what am I supposed to do with my kids then? What am I supposed to teach them? I'm like, just be calm, be confident, be loving, be happy. Those energies are what he's going to watch and feel and study, right? So same with a dog, obviously. So I say the first part in this whole thing, from my perspective, would be to tell you to remove that is the frustration that it's your fault, right? Like technically it is, but my point is that you didn't create this thing. But it is your responsibility to overcome. So you're aware already, which is amazing because you're already saying, I'm aware of this. I see it. So I would say stop there for 1 second, breathe and say, wow, I'm lucky because I'm one of the people who not only wants to be aware, but I'm in the process of taking action to become aware. That's a big freaking step because I can tell you most of my clients, most of the people I talk to are unaware. Most of my family, most of my friends, to a degree, some of my employees are unaware of what's going on or what they're actually feeling. So I do a lot of around here. I say, how do you feel? I'll just walk up to, how do you feel? And people go, I feel like decent. Oh, what's that? I don't know that emotion. So how does that look like? So because most people are used to this default bullshit of going around to everybody and saying, how do you feel? And like, good. And then we go, okay. And they just walk away. Right? It's like, well, how do I feel? Let me take a second to see how do I feel. Now let's get into the what do I do on a daily basis to do this stuff. So 2 things. I do 2 things. So one is planned activities, and then other are in the moment studying myself activities, right? So for me, first thing I do is wake up in the morning. I literally drag myself out of bed, even though sometimes I don't want to. Because actually, I was reading a study on this. The act of like just getting out of bed when you don't want to is actually like something that is like a pain that brings an enormous pleasure that you like overrode the side that's telling you to sleep. You know what I mean? Like the lazier side. I just stay in and be in comfort. You said, no, we're going to go towards this comfort. So anyway, I get up. I literally walk directly to my gym or whatever. It's just a bedroom that I put some stuff in. And I lay down and I do the Wim Hof breathing. So it's the first thing I do to reset myself in the morning. I do 3, 4, 5 rounds of the breathing, depending on how I'm feeling for the day. Then it depends on the day usually, but then it usually goes to, then I go get, I have lemon waters. So I cut a lemon in half, put them in there. I put 2 big ass lemon waters. I guzzle those down, like 30 ounces of lemon water in the morning. Then I'm usually doing some sort of post. Like you'll see the morning post I usually do. I'm like writing something like that up or seeing what Adam had created and doing something with that. Then it's usually going to then a workout. So what I try to do is just at least have my morning structured the way I want it to, right? So that's the first part, is making sure I at least win the day or at least win my mornings. Then after that, I have my schedule. So I usually have sessions during the middle of the day. I do things with my dogs. It kind of depends on the day of the week when it comes to that. But I'll tell you that just as of late is when I've actually been making a schedule for myself. And for the longest time, I didn't make a schedule for myself because I said, I don't want to be tied to some schedule and I have to do it. So my mindset was all fucked up about it. I was like, I have to do this. I said, wait a second, this is changing, because now what I'm doing, if I make a schedule, I'm making the decision of what I'm going to do in the environment as opposed to the environment telling me what I'm going to do that day. So I had this like perception that making a schedule was going to lose my control almost. You know what I mean? Like I was going to be like, now I'm a fucking slave to this schedule, you know? But then I started realizing, wait a second, I'm actually a slave to the environment right now, because when shit happens, I just go do that and go do that and go do, you know? So then now I got to let me like schedule this thing and have things to do there. And I'll tell you, for me, that's enormous discomfort. Enormous discomfort. because it's for me like I've been a fly by the seat of my pants. Like, let's just try this, let's go that. The entrepreneurial world is like that shit, you know. And dealing with rehab is creative, and I gotta like, you know, things change all the time and stuff. So when it's like, okay, now we're gonna do structure in a schedule, I'm like, this is a little hard for me. So that's where I would go. And then the last thing I would say before I pass it off to JoJo, as I've been talking for the whole fucking time, clearly, but the last thing is in the moments. So we've been doing this a lot lately, and I've been really so look, people do this thing where they go to a place and go meditate, right? Which I think is great. I think it's something because it teaches you how to see your thoughts, see what's happening, and learn how to breathe and live in the moment, recover it, all that. But that's also like going to a degree, there's a little bit of escapism there for me, which is like, oh, I went and meditated, so now I'm done, and now let me go live the rest of my life, right? But to me, I'm like, no, that's the lesson to teach you how to do it, and then you do it all day in life. So in the moments where I'm starting to feel frustrated, in my opinion, the actual act of saying, let me stop what I'm doing and look at this is actually overcoming the frustration. Not because then people say, what do I do? How do I do it? You can do breathing. We got cold shower. There's a million things we can do with it. But first, you got to see it and see it for what it is. And then I'm saying also take it off of yourself of like, oh, shit. So now I can actually. So for me, sorry, Dad, but I'm going to bring this up. He gets frustrated about certain things. So I got frustrated about a lot of shit growing up. But then I started saying, why do I get so fucking frustrated? I have such a temper. I'm this, I'm that. I learned it from that. He learned it from somewhere that learned, right? So then I removed it off of like, I was born with this thing. But then I said, okay, so I can actually do something about it too. If I look at it, now I know what to do. So by looking at it, you learn about it. So that's what I would say for me is like the stuff in the moments to, again, let go of the past, because the frustration, all the things that happened with your dog in the past, there's nothing for you there unless you haven't dealt with overcoming that stuff, you know? So just make sure you let that go. It's like, you know, I did my best in the moment. I made some mistakes, but I'm here now and I'm doing what I need to do, you know? So I think that's really it. And then in the moment, just seeing it for what it is. And people are like, what do I have to do though when I get all frustrated? I'm like, just see it first. Just see it. Because just the act of seeing it, it's going to be like, oh, I'm feeling frustrated right now. Look what I do with my hands. Look what I do with my head. Like, I can tell you, if you see me, I actually had to do this with Tony Robbins. To start making the face, like, and the act and like the body of you starting to get angry when I went to a Tony Robbins thing. So I was partnered with this like 80-year-old woman, and I started doing the things. I started looking in the air. I'm like, I know how I work myself up. And the lady goes, wow, you know that state really well. Because she was like, that was intense. So it told me in that moment, wow, I'm really good at getting angry and getting frustrated and going through my looking up, poor me. I can't believe this is, you know, all that bullshit that happened. So when I saw it, then I was like, oh my God, I see what it is. And I would tell you, it also takes 13 times more effort to evaluate yourself than somebody else. So why the fuck are we wasting our time evaluating anybody else? Honestly, spend the time here. I try to use people, but I try to use people to be able to like understand myself. You know what I mean? So if let's just say I trigger my fiance and she's like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, what about it? Let me see. What did I say? Can you say, what did I look like? Was I getting this? Was I the volume, tonality? Was I moving my hand? I'm from New Jersey. So JoJo's from over this area too. She knows the deal. But we move our hands and like, what is it that's making it do so I can see it, you know? I went long there, JoJo, but I'll let you give your 2 cents on this one too.
It's all good. Yeah.
By the way, JoJo knows this deal. JoJo knows the deal too, because this is me in the morning at TCW when I have the coffees and I'm like fucking on fire, you know. So, Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know.
It's always a time hanging out with Steve. There's energy there.
Good energy. That's right. Keep it moving.
No matter, and there's different emotions behind it, but there's always the energy.
That's right.
Yeah, he's pumping everybody up.
That's right.
I got pumped up just hearing your answer.
That's right. You can like go run a lap now around the RV and come back.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with Steve, and the awareness is step one. Just being aware and to ask that question, like, bam, step one, you accomplished. So, and then feel good about it. And so then it's just breaking it down into every moment of being aware in every moment. And I like to let the dog tell me sometimes where like, okay, the dog is not doing what I want. How do I feel right now?
Very true.
So if the dog isn't doing what I want, then maybe I'm doing something that's creating that.
That's a great one.
How do I feel? And then I go through a checkpoint. do I feel tense, nervous? How is my head? Am I tense? Am I clenching my hands? Am I pulling the leash too much? And then and then in that process of analyzing myself, you can start forgetting about the dog. Take some deep breaths and bring yourself back down, and then let the dog feel it, and then start over.
Right. And we all have our favorite flavors too, you know, like, and that's the studying of ourselves too, is like, for me, my favorite flavor was frustration, for sure. It was like frustrated. That led to me getting more angry, right? So that was my flavor, and it came from insecurity. That's when my own exploration went to. So you get to see what your flavors are too. Like, I really go towards this depression or this anger, you know, like whatever it is.
My flavor was getting tense.
Yeah.
I was tense with Wando because he was tense about stuff, and I started mimicking it.
Yeah.
And once I saw one bad behavior, then if I saw signs of that behavior coming back, then I would tense up because I didn't exactly know how to handle it at that point.
Right, me too.
If you remember, like Steve, he was really hard to break out of that.
Oh yeah. He was like a guy who, he was one of like my guys that I used to get for rehab back in the day that was like, fuck, this is going to be a good one. You know, this is going to be a job.
Hard to read. He was quiet, but not calm, and had all this tension inside. And I developed that with him.
So just so you guys, can I just say one thing, Jojo? Because Jojo made a good one there that people should realize too. People think that the dogs that are growling, barking, making all this noise are usually the worst ones. And not in my opinion. I think Jojo will agree. The ones to me that are the ones that are some of the most challenging, or the ones you really need to be careful of, the ones who have that silence to them, that like quiet, but like you feel like, damn, there's like ready to explode type thing. Those are the ones that you want to be careful around, for sure.
Yeah, I would much rather have growling and snarling any day, because I can tell what they feel.
That's right.
They're showing me what they feel.
That's right.
Quiet tension. I don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
So
put him back on so we can see with Dallas to see if he has any questions on what we were saying. Yeah. This is
one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The scheduling stuff is really great, to put yourself on a schedule. I was doing the same stuff. I'm like a list maker. You're a business owner, you got life, there's all kinds of stuff, and there's things I got to do this, and I would just write it down, and I would just have an ongoing list. But every morning I'd wake up and I didn't have a set plan of what I was going to do.
Yes.
So
that's me too.
So changing the list into inputting those things onto my calendar in a schedule, then I would look at it when I went to bed the night before and go, okay, the first thing I'm doing tomorrow is washing the RV or walking the dog or whatever it is.
Right.
And like even the littlest things, I put walking the dog on my schedule.
Right.
I put even the tiniest things on there because it helps me to just maintain my focus.
Yeah.
So that my brain isn't everywhere else. And the dog I have now, Wando passed away last year, but the dog I have now, Jax, he's all over the place. He will follow direction and walk with me, but he's doing this the whole time.
Right.
And he needs to be more focused. So it helps me to be more focused. And then in turn, the dog follows along.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great one. I mean, for me, like that schedule thing, because look, we talk about structure with our dogs, but we don't have structure for ourselves. And you were talking about list making. If I pulled up either one of my phones, my Samsung or my iPhone, which is ridiculous that I have two of them, but all of them have notes like out the ass, which is what you're saying, Joe. Lists, media list, dog training list, dog psychology list. What do we need at the ranch? What do we list, and then they just sit there as lists, because then I go on and repeat the same habit.
Lists.
Yeah, same habits that we always do, because we're not seeing it or paying attention to what we're doing. So I think that making a schedule also gives you a huge piece of awareness of like, wow, like I was just literally just all over the place, and now I can actually like get this shit done. But what you were saying,
and it's like holding yourself accountable.
Yes, accountability. I mean, like, it's lacking in 2022, I can tell you. And if people ask me, like, what would you say would be a way that I could get ahead in 2022? They're always going to be thinking, like, what investment, what blah. I'm like, self-awareness, accountability are, like, the two biggest ones for me. Self-awareness and accountability. And then, of course, on top of it, kindness, gratitude, appreciation, all those good traits. But to me, like, start with yourself of, like, I'm making an effort to become aware of, and it's a life journey. It's a life journey. I don't know if you remember, Judge, the last workshop I said in the graduation, I was like, because Cesar's been talking about the agreement, commitment, follow through, right? So I said 10 years ago, I made the agreement that I was the right thing to do to come to TCW to learn about dogs and whatever, right? I made the commitment. I swiped the credit card. I came out there. So that was the commitment. I'm going to do it. I started doing it. Then the follow through part is the real shit, which has been the follow through for 10 years now. And I said the follow through is now going to continue for the rest of my life. This is my life journey to understand myself, because by understand myself, I understand life. I understand nature. I understand the world, right? So it's all going to come through you. Everyone's looking in this world external. Who's going to give me the answer? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't come. Dallas, the answer is going to come from inside of you. That's where it comes from, you know? And we're here, the way I see it is we're all on our own journey to understand, and we're here to support each other along the journey. So it would be amazing for you one day, Dallas, if you could come out to Training Cesars Way to see what it's like out there, to see the level of support. It is so damn rare in this dog training world to see people, dog professionals, all getting along in one group of people. It's so rare to see. You get so much I mean, there's the ongoing joke, like, what can two dog trainers agree about? They're both wrong, kind of thing, right? Or the other one's wrong. That's pretty much like there's a saying for a reason for that. Everyone's got their egos involved. This is the way we do it. Da 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 da. Caesar will not allow ego there. They're removed.
We're a family.
We're a family. So the ego is not, and not only this, it started as Caesar won't allow ego there, but now the pack takes care of it for him. So all the trainers and volunteers and everybody that we have there, someone comes in, right away, we're either saying something to him or someone goes to Caesar and is like, this energy is bullshit, get it out. And they could be the best fucking dog trainer on the planet. Like world-class obedience competition, world champion, da-da-da-da. Energy's not good, you got to go. That's what it comes down to. So that's where all the answers lie, is right inside yourself. Do you have any questions, Dallas? We've been rattling off for the last 20 minutes.
No, I mean, you guys are doing great. Just to kind of build off of what you all said about just the rituals and things, and just if you're lacking the trust, respect, and love, whether that's with your family or with your animals, how do you start rebuilding that?
Okay, that's a good one.
You just got to be it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be it first before you can expect it from anyone else. And I don't expect it from anyone else. I just be it all the time.
And I would tell
you, trust, respect, and love.
Yes.
And whoever comes along with that, fantastic.
Yeah.
If not,
yeah, embrace it. It's like, it's going to be you. Trust, respect, love. So, and out of the three, you have to see, look, this is what everybody makes the error with trust, respect, love. Caesar talks about this all the time. They go to love first. They dump a shitload of love. And then they go, oh yeah, by the way, I got to do this trust and respect thing, right? It's already late. You already missed the boat on that. Of course, there's recovery. You can do it, but it's a flawed way as far as we see it to do it. The better way to be, touch and eye contact, then to build trust, gain respect. Then to that mindset of a dog who trusts you and respects you, you add affection to that. Love that shit. Love the hell out of it. And by the way, gaining trust and gaining respect is also love too. You know what I mean? So you're doing all those together. I would say all those. And again, certain dogs are different. You have to be able to trust. So I always ask people when they say, I don't trust my dog. I say, do you trust yourself? Mm-hmm. And people go, in what way? I go, I don't know, in life, with your dog, at work, with your kids. Do you trust yourself just being yourself? Because that's the thing. I said, I started thinking about this as someone stripped away Steve the dog guy or Jojo the dog girl, right? We stripped this dog side, stripped away the entrepreneur, stripped away New Jersey, stripped away Italian American, da 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 da. It's like, what's left over? And I'm like, well, I have calmness, I have confidence, I have love, I have joy, I have trust, respect. So all those things that I worked on are still there. You know what I mean? But all the bullshit material things that were there doesn't really matter anymore because they got taken away. But now ask that same question to a billionaire who hasn't done all this work. Say, hey, we just took your money away. How do you feel? Do you trust yourself? They might say, yeah, I trust myself to go make more money. But I'm like, yeah, but now you can't. So what are you going to do? Stuff. So that's what I'm saying is for everybody, if we can get to the point of there's nothing wrong with going to make money. There's nothing wrong. You want a show or TV fame and you want to have some power, but you just use it for the good if you're going to do that, if you're going to get that shit ideally. And to do that, in my opinion, calm, confident, love, and happiness prior to doing that part, Mm-hmm. That's what I think it really is, because then you're doing nature and human. You know what I mean? Because I think as humans, we've removed ourselves from animal kingdom, basically, because we're inside, we're in tech, we're past, present, future. The animals are just out there. They're just present. And I think the other thing I would say, dude, is assessing your thinking, because we think so much and it's just wrong. It's just not the right thing to do. Thinking about how do I make an espresso? That makes sense. Thinking about water, thinking about how do we make a microphone and how do we communicate through here? That makes sense. But thinking about oh, last week I had this, and then tomorrow, and oh man, this is gonna happen. There's nothing there for you. It's all made up. It's all an illusion in your mind. Which means that at any moment you're doing that, you're not living in the moment. So that mean, and then I had this revelation the other day in the shower. I almost like was like, holy fuck. Like I was like, took things so seriously. Cause I was like, look, there's only X amount of moments that are available for my lifetime. Right. And this is how cutthroat nature world is, right? There's no getting them back. So it's not going to break the nature is not going to break its laws and its code because we're like, wait. Our emotions say da-da-da. They're like, we don't give a fuck. You need to figure it out. And you have this many moments. So make the most out of them. And how do you make the most of them? Live in each one. Actually see them. Enjoy each one that happens. But when we're thinking about, oh man, last week and back in the past with my shepherd and was it the shepherd or Roddy you had or whatever?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got frustrated with him and this and that. You're just bringing yourself into for what? That was all back there. In this moment, what are you doing? What can you do right in this second? So that's what the dogs are teaching us. Live in the moment. They're sitting there being like, hey, we live in the moment at all times. I don't know about you fucking crazy humans that are living in like some past thing that you make up, some future thing that you're making up, you know? Why don't you just live with right now? I mean, that's what you just watch them. That's what they do. That's the lesson. That's why I say they're the real teachers. Yeah, we're saying, let's train dogs. That's why I say I'm not a dog trainer. Joe, I don't think you consider yourself a dog trainer, Jojo. We don't consider ourselves dog trainers. Cesar doesn't. Mm-hmm. If you want to go to a dog trainer, go to a sport guy, and he'll teach you obedience. Awesome. If you want to go do agility, go learn that training shit. That shit's easy. I shouldn't say it. At that level, it's not easy. But to teach sit down, stay calm, heel, all that, it's easy with leadership. So I'm saying get leadership. Get the dog fulfilled and believing and understanding itself and fulfilled. Then teach it all these sit. Like imagine going in the wild and going up to a wolf and say sit. Like they were like, what the fuck do you mean sit for what? You know, what do we sit for? I'm not tired. I'm not sit. So these are all things we made, and it makes sense that we do them. But in my opinion, since we brought the dogs in, we have to learn from them, understand them, teach them their way, and then show them our shit that we want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, so. Again, living in the moment. It all comes back to, we keep saying it, but you know, I think people also say this living in the moment thing and they just say it. They actually do the words, but not actually truly look and say, what the fuck does that actually look like? You know?
A lot of people use it as an excuse to avoid things in life.
Yeah.
I'm living in the moment.
Yes.
I'm going to the party.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like avoiding the things they actually need to do in life, and they say, "I'm just living in the moment."
It's funny, right? Now all of a sudden, so this is a perfect example of what JoJo's saying. Ready? Living in the moment. It's people do it in the wrong times. So what they do is a client will come to me with an insecure dog, anxious as all hell, can't sit still, whatever, right? And we start working on like putting it on the dog bed to just stay there. And now all of a sudden the dog's whining his face off like wild, having a really hard time with this whole thing. And now all of a sudden the client lives in the moment. But look at right now. She's having a hard time. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, well, this is not the time for that, actually. This is actually the time to just see that in the past, you created this client, right? And right now the dog's having a hard time because of it. But we understand, if you were actually living in this moment, you would understand, oh yeah, I've created it because I lived in these moments. And now we have to go through it in this moment. But they live in this moment and then they're like, oh, I don't even know why this happened. You're doing this to my dog right now. Really? I just met you. You know what I mean? So that's the other thing is like where people will tend to, like JoJo said, use this living in the moment thing and they spin it and manipulate it a little bit to feed their bullshit that they constantly go with, you know?
Yeah, they turn it into a YOLO. So really being in the present is just like being in the present moment, like feeling your breath, feeling what your hands feel, feeling what your body feels, like understand, like feeling the wind on your face and the sun on your face and like just being absolutely present.
And what she's talking about is just observing.
Yeah.
Observing things. So if you're ever in a moment, this is my recommendation to people. I do this every once in a while where if I feel like my thoughts get going and I'm like having a tough time snapping out of them, I just stop. I just say, I'm stopping and I'm going to look at that plant right there for the next like minute and just study it. Look at the way that plant, look at that leaf, look at the way, the dirt and the water, and like just start getting in the moment.
And breathe. Breathing is so important.
So that's the practice that we do, the breath works and the things prior to. So you have some practice for the performance of when you're in that moment of starting to feel frustrated. But most people are trying to fucking practice in the performance. They're like, I'm in real life. Eyeballs are on me and I'm getting frustrated. What do I do? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you do to practice calmness? And they go, nothing. And I go, good luck. You know?
And yeah, and if you pay attention to the times you get frustrated, I bet you $10 you're not breathing.
Yeah.
So if you get frustrated, just like pay attention. Am I even breathing?
And look at and like, what do I do with my hands and my head? And where do I look back? Do I do this? So you start looking at all that stuff and you say, look at that shit that was happening right in front of this is where I'm saying, like, right in front of my eyes. That's happening right in front of your eyes. So Jojo, this is my new thing about this conscious and subconscious thing of like getting involved in that thing. What if it's all consciousness and then what actually has happened is us human beings have got so good at avoiding what's right in front of our fucking face. It's really interesting to think about that. I'll let you chew on that for a while. Think about that while you're driving to Texas, and let me know what you think. But it's something I've been thinking about a lot, because it's like, I think it's also a human condition thing of saying, oh yeah, this is this subconscious thing and da-da-da. So it creates this idea that, like, I got to go way over there and deep down and dig and find and all this work that I got to do and this and that. It's like, really? What did you just look at that anger that's right there? It's right in front of your face, but you're just choosing not to look at it. You've gotten good, and it's been a condition to survive and be safe and have security in your mind to like, no, that's not even there. It's not even real. I'll just avoid it. It would be like what I'm basically saying. Like, this is a trauma that happened in my past, and I'm here. I'm looking at you guys. It's like, have you ever had any traumas? No, I'm good, but it's right here, and I've always just been looking this way. It's like, what trauma? And I just keep, like, everywhere I go, it's just right. It's right there. I'm just got really damn good at not looking at it because I want to feel safe and I want to feel secure. And if I look at that shit, I don't. So then it becomes, the reason people won't look at it is the fear of the unknown. Well, if I fucking look at that thing, what's it going to be like? What is life going to be like dealing with that? You know what I mean? So then that unknown becomes fear. So listen to this shit. Then it gets crazy. So people will stay fearful because they don't want to deal with fear.
Mm-hmm. They're comfortable.
I'm comfortable. I have the illusion of comfort in this fear. So I don't want to deal with that even higher level of fear. So I'll just stay with this fear. I'm like, why don't you go overcome all that fucking fear? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Of course.
Yeah.
No. That's nothing here is about the effort level or the easy or difficulty level. Right? It's like, that is extremely difficult to do. All this shit that we're saying is extremely difficult to do. But guess what? In my opinion, it should be to live a full life. Or else you see everybody with this, everything's great. Dogs walking right at their side. Hi, have a great day. You need any help with anything? What can I do? That's what the world we want to create, you know? But that's not out there right now. So, but what we do? Give up? No, we stop every day, move forward. Look, another thing happened recently. I didn't even mention, I kind of mentioned this to Adam. It was a kid who I knew in Hoboken, just passed away recently. It's a friend of my cousin's. And it's an unfortunate one because you get to see what's happening in the world, right? This is a guy, he at times he's a party guy, so I can relate to it. It was a big thing for me. I was actually with this guy in the party scene back in the day, right? So life goes on. I obviously had my things and I recovered and I'm going through my own growth and I got out of that scene and all that. And I haven't been that in contact with him, but here and there. So he reaches out to me like not that long ago. Every once in a while, every few months, he would reach out and say, hey, bro, how's everything? You know, just like an acquaintance thing. And he would say, really getting my act together. I started pet sitting some dogs and shit in the city. It's like things are going better for me. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Kill it, bro. Like then he's saying, you inspire me, bro. I'm gonna get out of this thing. And then all of a sudden you find out something happens, right? And doesn't survive. So this shit is happening out in the world all over the place. And we have to realize like how serious of a thing it actually is, that living in the moment, like I think about it, I could have lived in the moment more with that actual person. And who knows what kind of difference I could have made. But that would be me beating myself up. So there's nothing to really go there. It's all past and all that. But how much stuff we can potentially miss in moments if we're not actually looking at it, you know? So that's, and what is addiction? What is all these things? That's all shit from past and future. That's all it is. It's conditioning. You know, addiction is like the narrowing of things that bring you pleasure. So it just goes from like, oh, these things bring me pleasure to now this one drug brings me pleasure. That's all it is. And then they boom, 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 pound it. And then now it's not giving the same dopamine. And then now it's like, I need more and more and more. And that usually leads to the end, unfortunately. So that's what I'm saying, is being able to live in the moment. This is how serious this stuff is, because people see me. I was at one point laying on a fucking couch being like, I don't know, should I continue this journey of life? You know, that was me. And I grew up, my family wasn't broken. You know what I mean? Like I had my parents stay together. I had a brother. My dad was a businessman. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. We went on trips. We did things like middle class, like normal shit. But then that's to me. That's why I can speak to people who have been through shit, because I went through shit regardless of whatever mine was. And I can also relate to the people who are almost like have this thing of like, yeah, you're privileged. You should be fine. Like you're just already up, and they're like, some of those people feel like, how come no one like sees me and my trials and tribulations and things like that? I'm like, just that, you know? So I like can work with them too. If they've been through, you know, I'm talking about people who like, they were born into money, right? Born into money. They got the family, all this kind of stuff. That's good. And people say, but they go through shit too, is my point. It's not just about money and all that kind of stuff. They go through things also. So my point is I want to get this deeper into helping all human beings instead of like help like one thing of one, and we just pick all different things that we're helping. Why don't we help all? Anyway.
Hey guys, so we're gonna have to get running here pretty soon.
Yeah, I fucked up on time as usual, Jojo.
Yeah.
Jojo knows all about that.
To be honest, Jojo, I think it would be cool to have you on at some point in your on the road.
Yeah.
Are you down?
Sure.
Come back.
Yeah, whenever you want.
And then Dallas, if you're down to join us for the next one, bro. This one was a short and sweet one.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool for you to come back on, dude. You were a really good guest, and we'll give you some more value on the next one.
Yeah, of course, always.
Awesome. This
Thanks,
is great.
guys.
I really enjoyed this shit. I enjoyed doing this done, and we'll get better setups
Good
and
stuff.
get it all set up the right way. But the first one ever of having people on the show has been amazing. So thank you, Jojo. Thank you, Dallas. This has been great.
Yes, thank you.
We'll do this again sometime in the future. Jojo, safe travels if I don't talk to you. And Dallas, we'll have you on the show in the future again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Y'all
Appreciate
take
it,
care.
guys.
Thanks, buddy. Later, Dallas.
Have an amazing one.
Jojo.
Bye.
Love you guys. Have a great day. Stay calm and confident. We'll see you guys soon in the next episode of the Ask the Pack Leader Show.
Peace.
Later.